For every Stone Cold Steve Austin, Ric Flair, and Jake the Snake Roberts in the WWE Hall of Fame, there are a few questionable calls that fans just don't want in. From Coco Beware, to Rikishi, to the star of the Drew Carey Show, whose name I can't think of at the moment. There are just a few guys that do not belong. Right now, most of the big names from the past couple of decades are already in the Hall of Fame. For years, fans were complaining that Randy Savage and Ultimate Warrior were left out in the cold, but now there's less people to complain about, which also means there's less people worthy of enshrinement. If WWE keeps up with inducting 5 to 7 wrestlers a year, they're gonna run out of worthy candidates fast. Now, we're still a little ways off from Planet Stasiak and Heidenreich coming into the Hall, but right now, there's a lot of people on the roster, or who have recently retired, that don't belong in the Hall, but are gonna get in anyway. Because he's Vince McMahon, and we don't have a choice. Well, I'm Andrew Socek with WhatCulture.com, and these are future WWE Hall of Famers that fans don't want in.
Now let's start out with The Miz. Miz came to play, but his games aren't very fun. He also hosts the least must-not-see talk show in WWE history. Welcome to Miz TV. Time to change the channel. To give credit to Miz, the man has dramatically improved as a performer since he first joined the company as the host of SmackDown. To the surprise of everyone, he actually made it all the way up to the main event of WrestleMania. And then he fell fast and hard. Not since King Kong Bundy has a wrestler gone from Mania main eventer to a joke within the span of a year. At least Miz was spared from having to wrestle Hornswoggle and El Torito in a match though. The thing is, most fans just aren't into The Miz. His babyface turn was a train wreck because nobody wants to cheer the guy. That was like asking us to support David Arquette as a good guy. But management loves Miz so much that they cast him in most of their god-awful movies, like The Marine 4 and Santa's Little Helper. It's a little known fact that these films are so bad that they've actually legally been declared as a form of torture in 17 countries. Miz has been with the company since 2004, and you can imagine that he'll be around in some shape or form for decades to come. Lucky us. Coming in next, Michael Cole. Michael Cole, the voice of a generation. Just not a very good voice. Not a very good generation. It's hard to picture Steve Austin without hearing Jim Ross in the background, but it's pretty easy and actually probably preferable to think of some of the biggest moments of the past few years and not think of Michael Cole. It's not that Cole is terrible, he's fine, he's plain, he's just kind of there, except that he can be really, really annoying. No one is worse at fake laughing than Cole is, which is kind of part of the job when you're subjected to McMahon humor. And for some reason, Vince decided it was like totally cool to get rid of Jim Ross, one of the best announcers of all time, and replace him with Maggle. It's also hard to forget Cole's run as a heel announcer on Raw, SmackDown, and NXT. It was overbearing, and constantly listening to him and Lawler bicker made the product a chore to sit through, more so than usual. He's been employed with the company all the way back to 1996, and for reasons never explained, the boss is a huge fan. So someday expect to see him in the Hall right next to Gordon Solie, Lawler, and Jim Ross. Because sometimes life just isn't fair. And now, the legendary Santino Marella. Oh god, no. Vince, come on, you can't put Santino in there before Rick Rude and the British Bulldog. Well, as previously stated, life isn't fair, and wrestling life is really unfair, so Santino, Cobra and all, will likely be inducted into the Hall of Fame someday. Joining the main roster in 2007, Santino debuted as a legitimate fighter when he won the Intercontinental title in his first night. Somehow over the following months, he became dumber, his accent suspiciously grew a lot thicker, and his eyebrows became unified. And at first, you know what? It was actually kind of funny, but that joke ran its course quick. But WWE does not know the meaning of not the funny anymore. There was even talk at one point of Santino, Beth Phoenix, and Vladimir Kozlov shooting a sitcom pilot that was going to be shopped around to various networks. Can you believe no one was interested in that pile of crap? Well, luckily the wrestling gods saved us from that one. But no one can save us from a future WWE Hall of Fame featuring the Milan Miracle. Coming in next, the Bella Twins. You can look, but you can't touch, and you can't escape the fact that the Bella Twins are future WWE Hall of Famers. Now, to be fair, Nikki has turned into a pretty good wrestler over the course of her career, so good for her. But how many years of awful celebrity flirting segments and twin magic garbage did we take to get there? Actually about 6, and in terms of charisma and star power, Nikki has never come close to fellow women Hall of Famers Trish and Lita. And as for Brie, has there ever been a wrestler in the history of WWE that is less believable in playing the role of a trained fighter than her? She makes Terry Reynolds look like Manami Toyota. To top it off, they've been accused on air of only getting their push because of their real-life boyfriend and husband John Cena and Daniel Bryan. While that's up for debate, what's not debatable is that they are the stars of the worst wrestling show, and possibly just the worst TV show ever, with Total Divas. Still, they do have the longevity and crossover appeal to ensure their induction whenever their magic runs out. And now it's time to talk about the Great Khali. In all of WWE history, no one has been so inept at the basics of professional wrestling and main evented a pay-per-view than the Great Khali. Somewhere, the Ultimate Warrior is smiling down and thanking Khali for taking his place. WWE stands for World Wrestling Entertainment. Well, it did at least until Crazy Vince decided that it doesn't stand for anything. Just like MLB doesn't stand for Major League Baseball, except... oh wait, yeah, it does. Anyway, the world part meant that this is a worldwide company, and India is a major emerging market for them to cater to. What better way to show some goodwill for Indian fans than to put in the Great Khali? It's actually not as ridiculous as it sounds. After all, he's a former world heavyweight champion, he was employed by the company for close to 8 years, and he has clean victories against The Undertaker and John Cena. That alone puts him in like Brock Lesnar territory. Sure, Khali grew exceedingly awful and less mobile from a match standpoint, and the fact that he looked like he was going to break in half his last couple years in the company made him unbearable to watch. But Vince has a soft spot for him. While we groaned and changed the channels and rethought our lives when Khali came on, the boss was likely laughing his ass off at the kiss cam segments, the odd dancing, and the tag team with Hornswoggle. Within the next few years, it is very likely that the Great Khali will Punjabi plunge his way into the WWE Hall of Fame and into our hearts. Or probably just the Hall of Fame, not our hearts. And here we go with the legendary Hornswoggle. This is no joke. This is not a rib. This is not me trying to Eric Bischoff controversy creates cash on you. Hornswoggle will someday be in the WWE Hall of Fame, so you better get used to it. Just think of how many major angles Horny has been in the past couple of years. Yes, horrible angles, but big ones. He was revealed to be Vince McMahon's illegitimate son, and then he was, well, I guess revealed not to be. He was also revealed to be the anonymous general manager of Raw. Thanks for that one, Vince. There is probably very few people in WWE history that the boss actually thinks is funnier than the Woggle. You can imagine him sitting in the gorilla position, no, that's not a sex term, you pervert, and chuckling the night away over the short man's grunting noises, his feud with Chavo Guerrero, and him somehow falling out of Mae Young's vagina. Besides all that, the man has been employed with the company since 2006, making him one of the longest tenured wrestlers in all of WWE. Only John Cena, Mark Henry, The Miz, Undertaker, Kane, Hunter, Big Show, and Randy Orton have been there longer than him without getting fired. These guys have all main evented pay-per-views. Woggle's biggest match ever was the pre-pay-per-view spectacular WeLC. So no short jokes here, just facts. It may take a good decade or more, but the little bastard, and no, I'm not being mean, that's literally what they called him for a while, certainly has enshrinement in the Hall of Fame to look forward to. Whether we look forward to it or not is a good question. And that's the list. Sound off below on who you don't want in the WWE Hall of Fame. Follow me on Twitter at Andrew Socek, and I am Andrew with WhatCulture, and it is time to kick out.
And hey, while we have you, why not celebrate the relentless passage of time by buying WhatCulture's first ebook, The 100 Worst Wrestling Moments of 2015, written by Andrew Socek with a foreword from me. Only £3, it's currently the ranked #1 selling wrestling book on Amazon. Check the description for a link.